Hi. There's always a camera pointing at me when I wake up. Aiden?
At least it's not your bedroom.
Yeah, that's true. I was having a dream about witches. Like, for some reason there was a bunch of witches trying to make me into like a little guinea pig or something, and they were gonna chase me around and start hitting me and stuff.
It's terrifying.
Yeah.
You alright?
I feel like this gothic presence upon us.
There must be something in the air. I mean, it is raining right now.
Who are we interviewing today?
Let me just check.
Check the calendar.
Oh, it looks like we're having Devon Armstrong.
Devon Armstrong. Oh my gosh, he directed you in that play, The Witch. No wonder. Does he love gothic stuff?
I think he does.
So look, it all makes sense. And to all the women that have been telling me that, your dreams are very important and that your chakras are lighting up and stuff, you were right. Because my chakras are lighting up, and they're telling me that there's a strong gothic presence coming today that we can all learn a lot from in terms of how to be entrepreneurial with our passion to be in the entertainment industry. Devon, I believe, has a small theater company he began. You were in one of his plays, but he's come a long way since doing theater in parking lots, and he's now doing theater in unconventional spaces like mausoleums. So I'm really excited to have him on the show, the writer-director of Witch and the creator of the Downtown Reparatory Theater Company. Enjoy the show.
All right.
We have a fired up Aiden Collette. On this week of Film Buzz.
How you doing in the week that it's been since I've seen you?
Yeah.
When we were talking.
It was a really long week. Went to El Salvador. La Selva, the jungle.
I don't know what you're saying.
Yeah, La Selva means the jungle.
Oh.
Your friend is coming on today.
I have a friend coming on today.
His name's Devon Armstrong.
Devon Armstrong.
He is the creator and the president, the owner of the Downtown Reparatory Theater Company.
Yes, he is.
Which you are now a part of.
Yes, I am.
After that show, which was a wild experience. Well, we're bringing Devon Armstrong on. So welcome, Devon Armstrong. Woo! This was an audience of two.
Audience of two.
Yeah. I'm sure you've gotten better applauses in your life.
Yeah, hopefully. After all these shows.
I saw your last show, Witch.
Cool.
Yeah, which was a fabulous show.
Awesome. Did you see it at the Mausoleum or at?
I saw it at the Mausoleum.
Awesome.
Where do you find these places?
Usually, my dad was a location manager. Career location manager, so I grew up after school going with him and seeing all these crazy buildings that he would film in and stuff like that, and so he's got a sort of an encyclopedic knowledge of LA, and so when we were talking about putting on shows and making theater and stuff like that, he was it's encyclopedic. He's like, oh yeah, I know a place where there's a tiny town. I was like, well, let's talk to them. Let's go.
That's a huge help, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I read that your theater company, the Downtown Theater Company, Downtown Reparatory Theater Company, your beginnings was like doing shows in very unconventional spaces.
Yep. Yeah.
And that's kind of become like your trademark in a way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we started in a parking structure in downtown LA because it was the only space we could get for free. That's where we did it. It was our first summer, and it was crazy. But I learned a lot about not just site-specific theater, but theater in general doing that. I originally had planned on painting some walls black and building a theater in the corner of the structure, basically. Uh-huh. And this director, he passed away recently, but his name was Pete Siragusa, and he was awesome. He came in and he's like, no, don't do that. Look at what you have. And he taught me one of my great rules of theater, which is if you can't fix it, feature it. Uh-huh. And he's like, you can't fix this space. You can't paint it black. You're never going to make a theater in here, but you can drive cars in your play. And I was like, oh shit, of course, yeah, genius. And so
then there's these cars in the play and people are driving in and stuff.
Exactly, yeah. So the devil came in a Buick Skylark Classic. And so that was sort of really instructive in terms of okay, who needs a theater when you've got, we used our car headlights to light the show, and we played the sound cues through the car speakers, and after that we were like, okay, let's just do this. Let's find cool places and do theater in places that people don't expect it.
This is something I wanted to talk to you about larger, which is that the theater scene in Los Angeles is not regarded as like a great theater scene, I feel.
Yeah, I feel like it gets a bad rap, which is funny because LA actually has more theaters in it than any other city in the world. It's you wouldn't think, right? But it does. And most of them are these tiny little black box theaters, and I think that there's such a saturation of it, like there's so much of it, that everybody's seen a show that their friend was in, and everybody's been burned, basically. Like,
right.
At least once. And so it sort of gets this bad rap. Like when I'm trying to sell tickets to our shows, I don't even use the word theater. I don't call it theater. I call it an intimate immersive experience. Like I don't.
That makes it sound so much cooler.
Right? Yeah. Theater's bad branding.
I feel like I want to put on VR goggles.
Exactly. Yeah. It sounds like more fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm afraid of the word theater sometimes because of that. Because like you said, people have this sort of feeling about it. But there's also there's so much good theater in LA. You just have to know which ones to go to.
So how do you make ends meet? Because a lot of our viewers are like in their mid-20s or maybe mid-30s, and they're just still trying. They still have to have a day job in order to pursue their passion of acting and stuff. So if you're gonna do one and actually try and conquer some feat like putting on a show, how? I mean, it probably takes up so much time and energy.
It does.
So how do you still stay able to, give that your all and have to have a job somewhere else? And what other job would that be to like, if you're starting out? Because I'm sure now you do it all. I teach at the Los Angeles County High School for the Arts, but it's part-time, so it's not like a full-time thing. And I have a film equipment rental company. Yeah,
that's how I keep myself afloat.
Smart, yeah.
Like you said, it's massively time-consuming, so it's like it's got to be your passion and your hobby. Like it's what you're gonna do.
Yeah.
And you can't. I have a rule about not using my own money, or I think everybody should do that. Don't spend your own money on the show, because it's once you open that door, you'll never close it, and you'll lose a ton of money doing it because money solves problems really easily. And when you don't have money, if you focus on solving a problem without spending your own money, you'll get creative about it, and you'll hopefully end up, not losing your shirt doing it.
So what does that mean? Crowdfunding, or you're an investor?
Well, you can. There's a few ways to go about it. You can crowdfund, which I always pitch to people as like, you should think about it not as asking for money, but as an online marketplace. You're just selling tickets to your show or selling products.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to, because I feel like a lot of people feel really dirty crowdfunding. They're like, I don't want to go ask my family members for money. And I don't think that's how you should feel about it. You should be like, I want to go and ask people to see my show, and I'm just pre-selling the tickets to the show.
Right.
And those should be the prices. So if you're asking for $20, that's a ticket to your show. It's perfect. Grants, if you can get grants, are always really fantastic.
So you probably have to get a grant. Where do grants typically come from?
There's a lot of different. There's private grants and public grants. So like the Department of Cultural Affairs is public, and they give grants to artists, and you can watch their website. They're constantly posting grants for individual artists. I mean,
that's a great tip for everybody. Yeah.
Either of you could totally do that. My second theater rule is if you don't have a lot of money, get a ton of one thing, which means like if you have $100 to put on a show, you might be able to get 2 chairs and a table. But everybody's seen 2 chairs and a table, and it won't impress them, and they won't. But if you buy, I don't know, how many balloons does $100 get? You could fill this room full of balloons to the ceiling, and then somebody walks into that, and put on a show in your apartment, or if your uncle has a barn, I don't know, find it, do it outside, but don't spend any money up front until you've cultivated enough of a following that you can sell tickets, and that's what we do now. So we know we'll sell a certain number of tickets, and we're therefore not afraid to buy a few nicer things.
You grew up in a family that was entertainment based?
Yeah, I mean, my dad was a location manager. My mom's an English teacher. They're retired now, and they also make theater. We make theater together.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they, my dad and I co-write. We co-wrote Witch, the last show we did. And my mom just designed the costumes for Witch, and we all sort of produced it together as a family, just seeking things out. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's been really fun. It's just one of our ways of spending time together. Putting on shows and all of that.
I heard you mention that you brought Satan in a car chase. Wait, what would you say?
What show was that?
That was Last Days of Judas Iscariot. Yeah.
You gravitate towards stories that have to do with like religious taboo.
That's interesting because I think you may have found something there. Yeah, it sounds like because I do love Last Days, and Witch was about that.
Yeah.
And Poe definitely had some of that in it. We did a Poe-based.
You won an award for that one?
Yeah, in Baltimore. Yeah, it was cool. We got to go to the Poe Museum, and they gave us a big old.
He's that kind of writer, I feel.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think what we focus on is sort of like Gothic romanticism, and which sort of broke out of that for the first time. But yeah, I am fascinated. What it is for me is morality, really. I wouldn't say necessarily religion, but I feel like there is so much interplay between those.
Well, when I said that thing about religion and morality,
yes,
you were like, I think you might have found something there.
Yeah.
Is that not something you knew already?
I guess I haven't thought about it.
Yeah.
I just I get like tunnel visioned into projects that fascinate me, and then I rarely stop to step back and look at things. I'm usually like on to the next project. Is
the Gothic aesthetic attractive to you?
Yeah, I love all that. I love all that stuff. I love
the architecture.
The architecture,
and the
the
costumes.
mindset. Yeah, they're just the costumes. All of that's really cool. I like that. I like also the 1600s a lot. I'm fascinated with like the English Renaissance, which is when Witch was set.
Okay.
Also
I don't know
really
anything about
interesting to
that.
me. It was like Shakespeare's era, but I'm fascinated just sort of like the way of thinking they had at the time is really cool. Yeah, it's fun to research and write about.
What draws you to that?
I don't know. It's interesting because I never.
Because when I think about that stuff, it's like it feels heavy to me.
Yeah.
It feels like bold.
Smells
like metal.
It smells like metal.
It's like bold and smoky and shiny.
Yeah, there's something, and there's something too I like about.
It's not very laid back.
No, not at all. Yeah, going back to the whole parking structure days. We started in the parking structure, and we lost that after 3 months because the apartment opened and they had to use it for parking. Although if you go there now, there is still blood stains on the floor. It is the blood that we used in Macbeth soaked the concrete and it like bled into the floor. So if you go there now, there's still like blood stains all in the parking lot. It's funny. But then we went to the Pico House on Olvera Street, which is like a 3-story brick courtyard. It's really pretty, and it's the first. I think it's the first 3-story building in LA. It's pretty old, and we were there for like 6 or 7 years, doing theater every summer, and then we started the Sierra Madre Shakespeare Festival. And the hardest part about all of it, doing all of that stuff, was bringing in an audience because it's just a tough sell. Theater in this town is a tough sell. I feel like we're doing Romeo and Juliet. They're like, I've seen it again. There's 3 other companies doing it right now at the same time, and what do you got? And we're our thing was usually like, we got a cool building, and that got some people, but it was always hard to draw in the audiences that we wanted. We decided to try something new and write our own original play, and we wanted to write something about Poe, and we wanted to make it something that people would want to see, like that we could advertise and people would want to buy a ticket to it. And so we tried. We're like, all right, well, everybody's talking about immersive theater. Everybody's coming back from New York and talking about Sleep No More. And so we made what our version of an immersive play would be.
Mm-hmm.
But, that was our first stab. And then we went back east for the Poe award thing, and while we were there, we decided to go and see Sleep No More and another play called Then She Fell, which was about Lewis Carroll, who wrote Alice in Wonderland. And we saw those 2 plays and saw immediately, like, holy shit, like this could be huge. Like you can see why people want to go, and people are clamoring to get tickets.
Because it's like it's not just you're just sitting there and watching.
You're like fully engaged. Yeah. And that's what opened our eyes to like, oh wow, this could be something that sells itself. This could be something that audience members want to see, because they'll go see the show. They'll have a one-on-one scene where it's just you and one actor, and they do something special for you. And they give you a gift or something like that you take home with you. And the first thing you're gonna do when you go to work the next day is like, you're not gonna believe it. I went into this room with this one person. She pulled their eyes out and gave them to me. No, seriously, pulled them out of her head. And that sells. And I don't necessarily I wouldn't ever say anything bad about our early days of what we did with theater. at all. I loved our plays, and I think a lot of people loved them too. But yeah, this stuff really changes. I don't know what it is. I think it's probably the intimacy, but it really changes the reaction from like the average audience member, especially ones who've not really seen a lot of theater before.
Right.
Because all of a sudden they're like, "Oh, this is cool! Like legit. Can I see it again? I want to come back and see it again and get a different storyline and all that." If you wanted to get into theater or something like that, you didn't have a lot of money. This is also an example of that, because like you're gonna get forced to make changes that you would never foresee. Like COVID made us all like make these crazy changes to the way we did things. This stuff will happen and force your hand, just like COVID happened and forced our hand. It's again embracing that rule. If you can't fix it, feature it. It was trying to make an immersive show on Zoom and trying to make something that embraced the medium that we were in. And so that got us through the year too. I mean, like, God, I can't even imagine how bummed out, like, how depressed I would have been if I didn't have something to do. But yeah, it got us through, and it was a super fun time. And then after that, we came back and we had Witch. So you're approaching a play about a witch trial, like, you have to just be like, all right, you know, the Crucible's been done, and it's basically perfect, and you're never going to beat it, so you can't do the Crucible thing. That's its own thing. So we had to come at it, like, think about that and come at it from a different angle to make something that was original and cool and looked at different facets than the Crucible did. So we decided to focus basically on fake news. When you get fake news and it can start to affect you until you actually believe something that's not real. And so that was sort of the concept of the play, and we weren't being heavy-handed about it. It was not political, like right or left leaning or whatever. It was more just about, because we all get it. We all get tons of false information all the time, and I often find myself believing something that I look up and find out is just completely untrue. I'm like, but I swear to God, I heard that. The idea of the play was to basically set you in Pendle, in this town where this happens. And in the beginning, everything's hunky-dory, everybody talks to each other, everything's cool. And there's one guy who doesn't like the status quo and would like to see it upended. And he pours a little poison in the ear of the main character and starts this witch hunt slowly but surely. And over the course of the play, eventually the characters and then you, the audience as well, start to actually see these people as witches.
Another thing you did was you were involved in an Amazon show, I think it was a 3-episode situation?
Yeah. Well, we got it up onto Amazon, but it was not an Amazon original.
No. Yeah. Did you direct that?
Yeah, I wrote that. And
was that the one about like theater versus the crew versus the cast?
Yes, yeah. It was like
empty spaces.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, empty space. I was trying to learn how to write characters that were more spontaneous and interesting, basically. So I made a rule that the main character always had to, whenever he was presented with a choice, in essence, he had to do a crazy thing. Like he just had to go for like the big crazy choice and just see what happened. Everybody was like, "We gotta make this," and I was like, "We can't make this. It's set in an enormous like Broadway theater. There's no way we can make this." And my dad was like, "There's a closed down theater."
Classic.
And he realized that that this theater in San Pedro was run by the DCA, the Department of Cultural Affairs, who does those grants. I bet they would be amenable to, because we're a nonprofit. I bet they'd be amenable to a nonprofit saying, "Hey, we want to shoot this thing."
And if you were a profit, then
if you were for profit, they'd be like, "Yeah, here's how much it costs."
Yeah.
That's the beauty of being a nonprofit as well. That's the other way you can save money. Is that, I mean, you have to embrace the mission of the nonprofit, and you have to genuinely try to do that. Like our nonprofit mission is to make affordable theater and to educate up and coming actors, like bring people in. We also help with youth stuff. Like for instance, we shot Empty Space on the first Blackmagic camera.
Right.
That the other thing I wanted to do was if we shoot this first, if we're one of the first people to shoot something on the Blackmagic, then we're going to get a little attention because people are going to want to see footage from the Blackmagic.
Right.
So we shot it and I sent it to Blackmagic, hoping they would
feature it.
Yeah, and they called me and they were like, "What can we do for you?" And I was like, "What?" And they were like, "We want to help you. What can we do?" And I was like, "Well, give me a camera." Well, yeah, but unfortunately that wouldn't have met the mission of the nonprofit. So instead, I was like, "Well, I work at this high school. It's a public school, and they could really use some cameras." And Blackmagic legit gave them like $6,000 worth of movie cameras. cameras.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and then, you know, it's a feather in our cap now as a company, because we can, and that'll help us, you know, work with like the DCA in the future, because they'll be like, you know, what have you done? We're like, we help public schools, and they'll be like, okay, come shoot your movie in this weird theater. So,
Yeah. If I'm a stand-up comic,
yeah,
and I want to put on a show and rent a theater and then hire a bunch of my stand-up friends and sell tickets and stuff,
yeah.
should I do something from a non-profit point of view?
No, I wouldn't for that. If you're renting a theater directly, typically they're gonna have you know, their fee, and they'll have their own insurance policy and stuff like that, and you don't have to worry about it. Oh, it depends. Again, I don't really know.
Yeah.
I make theater in mausoleums, so
Who knows what I'll do? Maybe I'll, because I have friends that do them in like bars and stuff, and they have some kind of arrangement with whoever owns the bar.
Totally. There's what's it called, something Shakespeare. There's a group that does Shakespeare in the back room of a bar in Hollywood, and I don't think they pay for it. They just bring in a ton of people. The bar sells drinks, so it's a mutual. There
you go. Yeah.
That's what I would do if I was doing a stand-up comedy
Entrepreneurial.
thing. Yeah.
You have to be entrepreneurial.
Yeah, it's good for them and it's good for you. So like, yeah, find a cafe or something like that and be like, hey, I want to bring like 50 people here.
Right.
We'll sell a lot of your coffee. We'll sell a lot of your stuff. You know, how's that sound?
Yeah.
And they'll probably go for it. I mean, usually they do. I love theaters. They're great. It's just I would think that putting on a show in a theater and trying to, like you said, sell enough tickets to actually even break even, let alone make any money, would be an extremely challenging endeavor. You'd have to have a product that people wanted, and selling theater's hard. So yeah. But
how do you go marketing that show? How do you do that?
I think nowadays, if you want to sell tickets to a show, if you're not doing video stuff, you're insane. Like, you have to have video, high quality, good looking video, to post all over like socials, and stuff like that. Also, like, it's the same for and photos too, of course, but like videos especially important. But like, there's tons of event calendars, which is great because that's people are literally going to event calendars to look for things to do on the weekend. And then you just have to, you know, stand out of the lists so that they're like, oh, that's cool, and want to come see it. When
you're making a film or a show or something, how do you go? What was your process to getting it on a big platform like Amazon?
Well, Amazon opened up the doors to that a while ago. So basically, now if your show,
I think my friend got his feature on
Amazon, you can do it.
I think.
Yeah, if it looks good enough and it sounds good enough, they'll put it up and let you host it there. That. I think we put it up pretty fast after they announced it, because I heard about that and I was like, well, we gotta get it up there right away. It's still hard with narrative content. I feel like I could do better in that regard when it comes to movies, because again, I just need to find that thing to make people want it. There's just so much good stuff on
the thing already.
On Amazon, on Netflix, on HBO, on when I have that like 15 streaming services. Yeah, there's so much good stuff out there. Why would you watch empty space? So I have to put on my producer hat and start thinking about that. How do we get people to watch our movies the way they want to see our shows? I saw a film recently. It was probably about a year ago. A friend of mine, John Charles Mayer. So he made this movie with some friends of his that I'm very envious of. I just like love their idea, because again, it's that whole rule of use a lot of one thing. They were like, what's the cheapest material we can get? And they're like, cardboard. And so they made this movie called Dave Made a Maze, and it's set in an apartment, and Dave has disappeared, and everybody's like, where did Dave go? And they hear him inside this little cardboard like thing he's built in the middle of the room, and then they open it up.
That's
it's
perfect.
A massive, like,
that's like a cute little plot device or prop or something that will make people go, oh, what's that about?
Exactly. And now you want to watch the movie, and they end up going into like this giant labyrinth made out of cardboard, and so they literally got like just hundreds of cardboard, yeah, and they're able to get it all for free, because like stores, you know, after Home Depot boxes all the stuff.
They have too much of it. Yeah.
Well, what's next for you, Devon?
Yeah. Well, do you have anything coming up?
Well, I'm looking for an asylum right now. I'm trying to find a abandoned building that I can turn into an insane asylum.
All right, Film Buzz audience, you have an asylum? Put it in the comments.
So I'm looking for that. We'll be back at the Mausoleum, I hope, and Heritage Square, I hope, next year for our Halloween thing. We're talking vampires, maybe. We'll see.
So do you recommend that actors do theater here?
Yeah, I mean, for me, yes. I mean, obviously it's a personal choice, but like, I think that, yeah, if you, I mean, I know a lot of people are here to work and they want to do TV and movies and everything like that, but I think, you know, you got to keep yourself sharp and theater's just, it's also just a ton of fun.
Where do we go to find good theater to be in?
Oh, there's really good ones out there, like Antaeus, if you like classical theater, is fantastic. They're in Glendale now, and there's Noise Within, if you like classical, is in Pasadena. They do fantastic, giant main stage style shows. And then there's Theater Row in Atwater Village. There's 3 great theaters there. There's Circle X and Open Fists are there. I don't know the name of the other one, but those are great. If you want to see theater for free, that's great. Go see Independent Shakespeare Company. That's David Melville, his company. They perform in the park every summer. It's a really good time. They do studio shows now in the year. Who else is good? There's just there is a lot of good theater.
And you just go on their website and they put casting calls up on it?
Yeah, well, I mean, for that you can see they'll usually put it out in Actors Access or Backstage or the Equity Breakdown or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, if you want to, I mean, honestly, like just go email the theater and say, hey, I'm interested. When's your next show? Let me know, and they'll get you in there. But yeah, I think doing theater is awesome. It's also a great way to like meet people and make friends in town.
All right, thanks so much for coming on.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Have a good rest of your day. You have a meeting to go to, right?
Oh, I'm off to sell tickets at a theater.
There you go. The grind never stops with Devon Armstrong.